everyone, and welcome to the Feels. My sponsor this episode is Smokiez. Founded in 2010, Smokiez is just a group of humans based out of the Pacific Northwest with a passion for wellness and a commitment to make a difference in the world. They strive to enhance the role of cannabis edibles have in improving people's lives. All of their products are vegan, gluten-free, and contain no high-fructose corn syrup. Not to blow smoke, but they taste pretty good too. Smokiez. Eat your greens. Now available in Arizona, California, Colorado, Massachusetts, Michigan, Missouri, Ohio, Oklahoma, Oregon, Washington State, and Puerto Rico. My guest today is the president of kuLi Vaporizers, Danny Vogler. Danny, thank you so much for being on the Feels.
Thank you for having me, Jeff. Appreciate you having me.
Welcome, man. Why don't we dive in and talk about cannabis? Was it always a part of your life?
You know, since about high school, since I was about 14 or 15, I've loved cannabis. I've just always loved the smell of it and loved to smoke it.
Mm-hmm.
About 2015 is when I got into vaping. And since then, love vaping it, love doing dabs. But yeah, I've loved the cannabis plant since about I was in high school.
When did kuLi start? Was it back in 2015?
Yeah, we started kuLi in 2015. We started out as a dab pen. That's our signature item. This is our signature item, the kuLi V1. Basically, you take a rice-sized dab, you load it right in there, you put on the mouthpiece, press it 5 times, and you're ready to rock. The convenience is like nothing else, and the flavor and the hit is surprising how good it is, and it really does a great job. You could also fit it in your pocket real nice, take it with you on the go. The kuLi is just a great entry-level device for people looking to get into dabs.
How many prototypes did you go through before you went to production with that one?
Great question. So the market was pretty much saturated with a specific type of atomizer for dabbing, and it was a metal chamber with wick heating, or wick rod, basically.
And the function of the atomizer is?
The atomizer functions as the heating element of the vape. So that's where you put your consumable into the atomizer, it heats up, and you inhale, and that's your vape.
Okay.
So before we came to market, everything was the metal chamber with the wick. We came onto the market with a double ceramic rod coil wrapped in titanium, and it was just such a hard hit and such a good flavor compared to the wick. The wick would absorb the wax, and it would start to taste burnt after a while. So our flavor was just next level compared to what else was out there. So when we were looking at launching the kuLi, we knew that we needed to improve the atomizer, and that's we were asking about prototyping. So we went through a couple iterations to where we found the double rod coil was the best, hardest hitting, and that's what we went to market with. And when we went to market, we immediately picked up a big customer base of head shops and some dispensaries out in Massachusetts, out in Colorado. So that there was really a need in the market at that time for high quality entry level dab pen. Like I said, the other stuff that was out there was real cheaply made and had the metal chamber, just not a good flavor,
Now, why decide to create an instrument to vape when the number one selling category of cannabis is smoked flower?
Great question. I love vaping, and I just knew from when I started the dab pen process of trying to perfect this thing, I knew it tasted so good compared to, in my opinion, compared to smoking. It's that when you smoke it tastes a little burnt, the combustion, it's a smoky smell, smoky taste. Some people love that, but it high profile. People are going to smell you, you can't be discreet with it. I looked at vaping as a way to kind of be discreet, low profile, and not just reek when you go in new places. You can't go someplace and have a bowl on you without people really knowing it. But a vape, you can't. You can be real low profile with it. So that's what kind of led me. I knew that there would be an emerging market there because, of how great it worked and the need to be low profile.
What would you say to a flower smoker to try to convince them to switch to your vaping product?
Just give it a try. It's a great flavor. If you like smoking, you'll probably like vaping too, because you're getting a lot of the same great flavors, but you're not getting the bad stuff too. The combustion, the smoke, you're getting just like the plant smells almost is.
So is vaping truly healthier than combusting flower?
I would think so. I'm not a health expert by any means, but me personally, when I went from smoking to vaping, it was a huge change in my life.
How so?
So I started running around the same time, and I never liked running before, but when I started dabbing, I started running a lot too at the same time, and I was able to go, I would run like 3 miles, and then I started running 7 miles, and I eventually ran a half marathon. That was something that I could never do when I smoked. My lung, like after I run a little bit, I would cough and, smoker cough kind of. Because I like to smoke a lot. I mean,
were you a heavy consumer?
Yeah, I'm a heavy consumer then. I'm a heavy vape consumer now. But yeah, when I switched from smoking to vaping, huge improvement. I felt so much healthier, could breathe a lot better, and just when I was smoking a lot, and I would do athletic activity, after I'd do it, I would cough. That doesn't happen anymore. Yeah.
Okay. Now, what kind of batteries do the kuLis use?
It's a lithium battery. It's a proprietary system. It is, so the original kuLi charges micro USB. The new one charges USB-C.
Mm-hmm.
It's 360 mAh, that's 360 milliamps per hour. That's how much capacity it has.
Which means it would last a user about how long? How much life on a charge?
It's got about 100 hits in it.
Okay.
You'd have to recharge it. Yeah. So that's a lot of hits. You get about 5 hits out of a serving.
Mm-hmm.
You put about a rice size amount in, which is about 0.05 grams, so 20 of those in a gram. Probably can, go through a whole gram without really even charging it.
Now, the reason I ask about the type of batteries that you're using, I just recently read a Scientific American article that said if we all converted the entire U.S. fleet to electric vehicles, there would be an incredible lithium shortage. Now, I know we are starting to work towards more electric vehicles. We have already a ton of electric devices. Do you see a mineral shortage in the future in your industry?
I think that's definitely a problem that is creeping up, and I think that they're going to have to probably find other elements that work like lithium does in the batteries, because we will run out. I know it's a big problem. The EV, electric vehicle industry, is really driving the lithium shortage. You need so much lithium to power one of those cars. It's something that technology will evolve, and there are other ways to run a battery without lithium.
Mm-hmm.
That is something that we'll have to keep on our radar. And it's not something that is affecting the industry right now. There isn't like a lithium shortage hitting the industry, causing big price increases or anything at this point.
But there is a lot of usage of disposable batteries and lithium-powered devices. Specifically for disposables, how would you recommend someone dispose of that?
Great question. You need to when you have a lithium battery, you should take it to your hardware store and recycle it. All hardware stores have lithium battery exchanges.
No kidding.
Yeah, that's where you should take it. And then they recycle it, and, they reuse what they can in there. I've actually, I'm in talks with one of my friends about starting a not-for-profit about putting battery reciprocals in the dispensaries. So we can, and we'll come by and pick them up and take care of the recycling portion.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we're probably going to wash that this year because, like you said, the disposables are just flooding the market. There's so many people with all these batteries. Nobody knows what to do with them. Don't throw them in your trash can. You should recycle them some way. The easiest way to recycle them right now is to take them to your hardware store. But, if we could create some kind of incentive program with the dispensaries, maybe somebody brings back their battery, we give them 20% off their next kuLi purchase, something like that. So when they get the replacement, they're doing a good deed and it's getting incentivized too.
That's a great idea. I hope other manufacturers take that into consideration, because waste is one of the hugest problems in the cannabis industry right now, whether it's a battery or whether it is a container, Mylar packaging, or what have you.
Totally. Yeah, packaging is a huge, huge waste. Missouri does pretty good from what I've seen. I used to spend a lot of time out in Colorado, and their packaging out there was very wasteful. It's a child-proof container inside another child-proof container with a label on it and then another label on it. It's just a lot, and it adds up. Yeah, so.
Let's talk about this bad boy right here, because it's been staring me in the face this whole time.
Let's talk about it. This is the kuLi Bud. This is our dry herb vaporizer.
Aha. Okay.
So it's for flour. You grind up about a half gram of flour, drop it into this ceramic chamber. Magnetic mouthpiece goes right on top. You press it 5 times, and it takes about 40 seconds to heat up, and it will vibrate to let you know it's good to go. And once it vibrates, you can start hitting it. You can hit it from the top, or you could share it with somebody that could hit it from the bottom. Mouthpieces on both sides.
Can you hit it at the same time? Kind of like Lady and the Tramp on the piece of spaghetti?
Yeah, you can do that. Absolutely. Yeah, that would work. It has 3 heat settings. The lowest is 420. That's where I like to.
Was that done on purpose?
Maybe. It's the perfect dry herb temperature to start off with. You can really, really taste the terps when you're at that 420 low temp. And then, so it vibrates, lets you know it's good to go, and then you can start ripping it. There's nothing in here today, so we'll turn it off. But maybe sometime we could have a session together.
Now, other than the dual mouthpieces, which is truly cool, how is that different than, say, a PAX 3, which I'd see would be a close competitor of that device?
Yeah, so one big difference is ours comes with a conversion kit for concentrates, so you could use it for concentrates as well.
Okay.
Yeah, the PAX one, that's an add-on. The other difference is the mouthpieces, and the biggest difference, which really helps with flavor, is we have a ceramic chamber. They have a metal chamber.
Now, how does that change the flavor, metal versus ceramic?
Ceramic just has it just produces very clean taste when it comes to vaping cannabis. The metal, when you're vaping flower with metal, it kind of gives it kind of a popcorny taste.
Is it because certain chemicals are being released by the coils that aren't contained in a ceramic piece or within the metal?
I don't know the exact reason why it tastes different, but I do know that ceramic is a much cleaner product surface area for vaping. Across the board, you'd rather have like a ceramic nail than a metal nail. And just my personal experience, it just always tastes better if it's ceramic or quartz.
I was just going to say, what about a quartz chamber?
Yeah, a quartz chamber would be great too. Quartz and ceramic are both great. Big difference between ceramic and quartz is not as porous, so it's not going to absorb stuff like ceramic will, and quartz will keep a cleaner flavor for a longer period.
So will a ceramic bowl, because it's porous, eventually develop a certain taste to it that you will then have to replace that chamber?
This one is made to be cleaned. And it works it comes with a cleaning kit, and the cleaning kit works great. But for the kuLi, for the dabbing, that's where you see the absorption big time. So we actually, on our newest kuLi V2, we have the quartz atomizer. It comes with quartz rather than the dual ceramic rod.
Mm-hmm.
And with the concentrates, you see a difference with quartz. You'll see these last a lot longer and the taste lasts a lot longer. So the ceramic will have the burnt taste quicker and you want to get rid of it and replace it sooner. The quartz will give you a good extra, month or two before you have to replace it.
Besides taste, what would you say the biggest differences between consuming concentrates and consuming flower?
Potency. So concentrates are about 80% THC. It varies. Some are very high in terpenes and they're lower in THC. But then you look at flower is usually between 20 and 30%. So potency, it's 4 times as potent if you're vaping concentrates. It's in its name, concentrates,
But does potency equate to a longer lasting experience? Myself, I have found concentrates to be, yes, incredibly potent, but quite fleeting. And when I smoke flower, it is not as potent, but the effects are much longer lasting.
You know what? I agree with you with that. And I'm not sure why that's the case, but I agree with you. So with flower, it seems to be more mild and lasts longer. And concentrates, it's hits you quicker. And some would say for like medical consumption, that would be better. You want to have that quick hit, that quick spike, and you don't want it to linger around for 2 hours. You want it to be gone within an hour or so. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think it probably has to do with you're only vaping THC and terpenes. When you're smoking, you're smoking a lot of fiber and stuff too, and that could make just have a kind of an added effect.
What's a myth about cannabis that you would like busted?
I mean, I think the big thing I like busted is the stigma, the reefer madness stigma. Everybody, well, not everybody, but there's people in the older generation that they will not accept marijuana as medicine, as a beautiful thing. To me, marijuana solves so many problems. The amount of health benefits that cannabinoids have is just ridiculous. You look at a chart of all the effects, all the positive things that it could do, and you just wonder why scientists haven't been just studying how to make this happen nonstop for the last 100 years. Instead, it's been illegal, and the black market has been running the cannabis business. So, that's the biggest thing, breaking the stigma, and the fact some people think, like marijuana is this gateway drug that's going to lead you down this bad path of, into a bunch of other bad drugs. Well, I can tell you that that's not the case, at least not my experience. People that I know, there's many people that just smoke weed and they have no interest in doing anything else. So that's the biggest thing, that the biggest myth that I like busted is that reefer madness stigma.
Do you see there being in the future a cap on potency levels of concentrates?
I hope not. I think that there's a lot to be learned, and the market, I think, is going to develop to where people aren't just searching for high levels of THC, because I think that's kind of where we're at now. When people look at the label, they want high THC content. That's why they came to the dispensary in the first place, right? But as we learn more, we discover that the terpenes have such an added benefit, and they're the flavor of the whole experience. So not only are they providing the flavor, they're providing health benefits and everything. So I think as we move on, the market will kind of just correct itself. I don't necessarily see any caps, at least I hope not. I guess I'd compare it to like Everclear alcohol. Like you don't go to a liquor store looking for Everclear unless you want to make like jumbo juice or something. I think, you go to a liquor store and you get a nice bottle of wine or an expensive bottle of bourbon or something. And I think over time, people will realize that you can look at cannabis through that same lens, and that, the terpene profile, and, how organic it is, and, how good is the quality across the board. That's all going to play out. And I think you'll see just the market kind of evolve in that way. And I don't think we'll have issues with having to cap concentrates at 90% THC or something. I don't see that happening.
Do you think there's a responsibility on companies like yours and others to provide the proper education to not only its users, but the people who are selling the product?
Absolutely. I think when you're selling products that you should offer education on how to use it. kuLi, we have YouTube videos on how to use our products. And we also try to provide education to all the bud tenders when we sell kuLi into a new store. We like to educate as much as possible. We like to come out to the stores and do pop-ups and kind of educate the customers, educate the bud tenders when we can. So yeah, I definitely think that it is the responsibility of the people selling the products to educate the consumers on them. Yeah.
Now that we are living in a recreational / adult use world, has that changed your business model at all?
Yes, it has. kuLi is now looking at getting into the consumables. So we're working with another company, Chimenea, and we're going to have some cartridges coming out in probably March. So yeah, definitely, I'm born and raised in St. Louis. I've run kuLi out of St. Louis for the last 8 years. And now that it is recreationally legal here, now I can, ramp up the business and really put the whole vision into play. So to answer your question, yes, we're going to be moving into consumables, and yeah, we've added a little bit of help recently to help push out the products into stores. So,
will these cartridges be retrofitted to these devices, or will you be bringing out a new battery?
So we have a line of 510 batteries called the Dart. The Darts. We're at the Dart V3 right now, actually, and those are for cartridges. So we will be pairing the cartridges with that. Yeah.
How often do you do new R&D and put out a new version of batteries?
Good question. It's been about every 3 years or so we try to upgrade. As the market changes, as technology evolves, we try to keep up and implement all the new features into the products. So we recently moved from the kuLi V1 to the kuLi V2. What we did was we changed it to variable voltage. So there's 4 heat settings on it now. Mm-hmm. There's an auto heat setting. So if it's not hitting on the first hit, you can do a double click and it preheats. And then it also charges USB-C, which is also the latest and greatest way to charge your devices. So yeah, it kind of depends on the technology and where we're at, but we do like to do refresh updates all as time goes on to make sure we're keeping up with the technology.
What kind of advances in vaporizing technology do you see coming down the pipeline?
Great question. I think keeping it small and adding water as a filter would be something that we want to do. We do have a product now called the Rippler, and it's a little big to carry with you, but we'd like to take that the water filter aspect on the go with you. That I can see happening, and then always improving the atomizers. We just recently released a new coil. It's a quartz cell where the metal is underneath the quartz cell, so that the consumable does not touch any metal at all, only touches quartz. That's called the kuLi coilless quartz. But yeah, so those kind of incremental changes happen too periodically, like atomizer update, where we just release a new atomizer that fits into the kuLi V1 or the kuLi V2. It's all interchangeable. But yeah, so we try to keep up, have product refreshes probably about, once every 3 years or so.
Do you think vaping cannabis will ever overtake smoking cannabis in popularity?
I think that it's probably, gonna remain pretty close, because I think that the convenience of walking into a dispensary and buying a pre-roll, like that's so convenient for someone to be able to just walk out and light that up. That market's always going to be there. I do believe that as time goes on, vaping will be more accepted and it will become a bigger piece. I can see it, being about equal to the flower. I don't know that it will ever pass it. People just love flower so much. I don't see that going away anytime soon.
That's going to do it for another episode of The Feels. I'd like to thank my guest today, the president of kuLi Vaporizers, Danny Vogler. And I'd like to thank all of you out there for watching and listening. My name is Jeff Rowse. We'll see you next time.